It was because of HIV. And so instead of my dad paying off that contract, he gave him a piece of the team so that he would always be part of the team, no matter what.
How true is it that your dad was telling Magic that, you know, he wanted you and Magic to one day run the team?
Westbrook, to me, got exposed. Westbrook is fraudulent because he's a stat machine who cares only about his personal stats, and he prioritizes personal stats over winning basketball games.
Magic Johnson drops bombshell on Lakers owner, secret finally out. For years, the basketball world accepted the polite fiction. We believed the smiling farewell, the story of a legend simply wanting his freedom back. But that story was a lie. In a stunning, no-holds-barred interview, Magic Johnson has just shattered the carefully crafted narrative around his shocking 2019 exit from the Lakers. And the target of his explosive revelation isn't a player or a general manager, it's the owner herself. This is the secret meeting, the betrayed promise, and the truth that changes everything we thought we knew about the Lakers' civil war. April 9th, 2019, a date that lives in Los Angeles Lakers infamy. The season was over, a catastrophic failure despite the arrival of LeBron James. The air in the arena was thick with disappointment. And then Magic Johnson walked to a podium. This wasn't the beaming, joyful Magic of the Showtime era. This was a man who looked utterly drained. In a stunning, impromptu press conference, he dropped the news that felt like a punch to the gut of every Lakers fan. He was resigning as president of basketball operations. Right then, effective immediately. His reasons were emotional and vague. He spoke of wanting his freedom back, of being tired of the backstabbing and whispering within the organization. The most shocking detail? He said he hadn't told owner Jeannie Buss, his longtime friend, his sister, until just before he stepped to the mic. It was less a resignation and more an escape. The basketball world was left with one burning question. What or who could make Magic Johnson run from the Lakers? The official story that followed was a masterpiece of polite fiction. Team statements glowed with praise. Jeannie Buss gave interviews about her unwavering love and respect for Magic, framing it as a personal journey. The narrative became that the front office life was simply too constricting for a spirit as large as Magic's. He was an ambassador, not an executive. The backstabbing comment was glossed over as a general frustration with the media and league gossip. This story was clean. It protected everyone's legacy, and for years, Magic played along. He cheered from his courtside seat. He tweeted support. He was the happy ambassador. But the core mystery never faded. What was the real, specific incident that broke the partnership? The answer remained a secret, locked away, until a podcast host asked the right question at the wrong time.
Of the Laker organization. But sometimes as a man, you have to make decisions based on your well-being, right? And I made that decision based on me and my own happiness. And so I could have done it a different way. Yes, he's right, but I did it my way. And that doesn't take anything away from our relationship or how I feel about LeBron. But sometimes as a man or a woman, you got to make decisions based on your own happiness. And sometimes
Magic Johnson, what about him makes him one of the greatest leaders you've ever been around?
He was like a wild card because he could do so many things. And that's today why I think coaches.
The setting was a relaxed, long-form interview on a major sports podcast this week. For the first 40 minutes, it was classic Magic. Upbeat, charismatic, toppling about business, the current Lakers roster, and his love for the game. Then the host, sensing an opening, asked a question that wasn't on the pre-show list. Magic, you're the ultimate Laker. That 2019 exit, fans still talk about it. Beyond just wanting your freedom, was there a single moment, a final straw, where you knew you had to walk away? There was a pause. Magic's famous smile didn't just fade, it vanished, replaced by a look of sober reflection. The atmosphere in the room shifted from lighthearted to electric. You know, he began, his tone lower, more deliberate, I've never talked about this specifically. I gave my word I wouldn't. But it's been years, and people deserve to know the truth. He leaned forward. The freedom thing was real, But the trigger wasn't the job's pressure. It was a broken promise, a fundamental breach of trust at the very top. He then revealed the secret. In the weeks leading up to his resignation, he had been working the phones relentlessly, trying to finalize a trade to set the franchise up for the future. He believed he had the authority to make a major basketball decision, an authority he says was explicitly granted to him by Jeannie Buss when she brought him aboard. But when he presented the framework of this potential deal, a deal he described as transformative for the Lakers' future, he was told to stand down. Not by the general manager, not by an advisor. The order, he stated clearly, came directly from Jeannie. She looked me in the eye and told me I couldn't do my job, Magic said, his voice steady but firm. She told me the final say wasn't mine anymore, that other voices in the room, people who weren't basketball people, had her ear. After I was the one who brought LeBron James to Los Angeles, after I took all the bullets. That was the betrayal. That was the moment I knew the partnership was over.
Dad decided to give Magic 5% of the team upon his retirement?
He had years left on his contract. And of course, we all know when Magic first retired, it was because of HIV. And so instead of my dad paying off that contract, he gave him a piece of the team so that he would always.
Which NBA player wins in a one-on-one Lakers edition? Anthony Davis versus Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson.
I don't know.
Magic's statement hung in the air. Other voices in the room, people who weren't basketball people, had her ear. This single phrase was the key that unlocked the secret history of the Lakers' front office chaos. He didn't name names, but he didn't have to. For anyone following the Lakers' internal drama, the identity of those other voices was an open secret. He was pointing directly at the influential circle of non-basketball executives and confidants around Jeannie Buss, a group famously led by team president Tim Harris, and most notably, longtime advisor Kurt Rambis and his wife Linda Rambis, a former Lakers cheerleader turned senior executive. Magic's revelation painted a stark picture of his final days. He described a toxic environment where his basketball decisions were being second-guessed and undermined, not by fellow scouts or GMs, but by individuals whose primary expertise was in business operations, or who held power through personal loyalty. You'd have a meeting about player personnel, Magic explained, and then you'd find out the real meeting happened after you left the room. Decisions about the team I was supposedly running were being made in hallway conversations, over dinners I wasn't invited to. He framed it as a power struggle he was destined to lose. He was the basketball legend brought in for his vision and star power, but he was operating in a structure where traditional basketball hierarchy was subverted by a shadow cabinet of trusted insiders. This context makes his public backstabbing comment in 2019 chillingly clear. It wasn't a vague allusion to media gossip. It was a specific professional indictment. He believed he was hired to be the ultimate basketball authority, only to discover that his authority ended the moment it conflicted with the opinions of Jeannie Buss's inner circle. The broken promise was, in his view, a revocation of the very power he was promised. He wasn't resigning because the job was hard. He was resigning because he was rendered powerless, his role reduced to a figurehead while real influence flowed through channels he couldn't and didn't want to access.
A lot of changes. Sure. Laker fans, be patient. We're going to get there. We will not finish till we're all proud.
Did your confidence in Rob ever waver? It looks like this could be another good summer, but did your confidence during this whole ordeal ever waver?
I mean, it's like I've always had confidence in Rob. It's you know, whatever the speculation is out there, we don't need the outside media.
That's old dog right there. Well, who you shooting at? We go play 1-on-1 right now. Damn.
In the immediate aftermath of Magic's podcast Bombshell, the reaction was not a loud explosion, but a deafening, calculated silence from the Lakers organization. There were no fiery rebuttals, no press releases defending the front office structure, just quiet. This silence, in the high-stakes PR world of the NBA, was more telling than any statement. It was the sound of an organization that knew the story was true and that engaging with it would only pour gasoline on the fire. Meanwhile, the basketball world erupted. Former players, media personalities, and fans dissected Magic's every word. The phrase "broken promise" trended on social media. Analysts revisited the chaotic 2018-19 season, the failed trade attempts, the public disputes with then-coach Luke Walton through this new, damning lens. It all made a terrible new sense. Magic wasn't failing at the job. He was being prevented from doing it. The most significant fallout was the severe damage to a decades-long personal bond. Magic and Jeannie Buss weren't just boss and employee. They were family. He was her father's favorite player, her personal champion during her battle for control of the team. Their relationship was the emotional bedrock of his return. Magic's interview framed his exit not as a business decision, but as a profound personal betrayal. "That's what hurt the most," he said on the podcast, his tone softening with a palpable sadness. This wasn't just about basketball. This was about trust between two people who had been through everything together, and that trust was shattered. This framing changed the entire narrative from a professional disagreement to an intimate breach of faith. It explained the raw personal pain visible on his face in 2019. He wasn't just quitting a job, he was walking away from a corrupted family bond. This revelation also forced a reevaluation of the Lakers' so-called shadow front office. For years, rumors about the influence of Kurt and Linda Rambis were dismissed as fan conspiracy theories or media gossip. Magic Johnson, the ultimate insider, had just validated them on the record. He lifted the veil on the chaotic, personality-driven power structure that many believe hampered the Lakers for years, a structure that only began to stabilize with the arrival of a powerhouse agent like Rob Pelinka, who knew how to navigate those very political waters. Magic's secret wasn't just about a single argument. It was an autopsy report on the dysfunctional corporate culture that nearly derailed the LeBron James era before it even began.
Is going to move forward. Particularly in an elevated position for the Los Angeles Lakers in light of what Magic Johnson just said. Magic Johnson flat out called him a backstabber, flat out basically said he's a liar, and to lambaste him like that. But I did not expect that from Magic Johnson today.
Magic back into the front office to run this team, and if he does, that means Pelinka's job is at stake. Ooh. Because one of the problems when he was with the Laker organization is that he wanted full autonomy, and Jeannie had given him that, and then he wanted to make a change in the front office.
Magic's confession sent shockwaves far beyond a personal feud. It forced a brutal reevaluation of the entire Rob Pelinka era. Pelinka, the current vice president of basketball operations and architect of the 2020 championship team, was hired under Magic's leadership. He was Magic's guy. But when Magic abruptly quit, Pelinka remained, seamlessly ascending to the top basketball job. For years, people wondered, how did Pelinka survive the purge of his mentor? Did he choose allegiance to the other voices Magic described? Magic's interview casts Pelinka's survival in a new, potentially ruthless light. It suggests that to operate and ultimately thrive within the Lakers' power structure, one had to appease or navigate that influential inner circle Magic found so toxic. Pelinka's success, therefore, is viewed by some through a darker prism, not just as brilliant team building, but as a masterful political survival story within the very system that drove Magic out. This revelation also reframes the Lakers' recent history. The period following Magic's exit was marked by extreme turbulence, the failed pursuit of Tyronn Lue, the hiring of Frank Vogel, who was reportedly not the first choice, the disastrous 2021-22 season. These are now seen not as random misfires, but as potential symptoms of the fractured, committee-based decision-making Magic exposed. It makes the 2020 championship, won in the bubble, seem like a miraculous triumph over the front office's internal chaos rather than a product of a well-oiled machine. The interview fuels the argument that the Lakers' success came despite their ownership's management style, not because of it, a damning indictment that strikes at the legacy of the Buss family. Furthermore, Magic breaking his silence now is itself a strategic earthquake. For years, he upheld the code of the Lakers family, so why talk now? Speculation is rampant. Is it because the non-basketball influencers he criticized still hold sway and he's firing a final warning shot? Is it a move to protect his own legacy, to ensure history records his version of events as the truth? Or is it simply a man, years removed, unburdening himself of a secret that weighed too heavily? Whatever the motive, the effect is the same. He has permanently altered the perception of Jeannie Buss's leadership. The owner is no longer seen as the steady heir who brought back the glory. She is now also the architect of a duplicitous system that betrayed its most iconic figure. The secret is out, and its ripple effect is just beginning to reshape the Lakers' story.
You just got to go out and do your thing, and that's what I did.
But Magic, he was talking about the way you did it. Do you have any regrets about the way you did it?
No. I'm not a regretful guy.
If you could do it again, would you have done it any differently?
Max, I'm not a regretful person. I stick to my guns. Listen, this was not, I just woke up and said, oh, I'm going to leave
It feels like this is almost nightly torture on Twitter for Laker Nation, because these reports just keep rearing their ugly heads and everybody goes berserk about.
The dust from Magic's explosive interview will settle. Headlines will change, but the fundamental landscape of the Los Angeles Lakers has been permanently altered. This wasn't just a gossipy reveal, it was a foundational crack in the mythology of the franchise. The Lakers brand was built on a trinity: Showtime glamour, championship pursuit, and the idea of a family run by the Busses. Magic Johnson was the living embodiment of all three. By detailing his perceived betrayal, he didn't just criticize a decision, he exposed the family as a potentially dysfunctional unit where blood ties and personal loyalty can override basketball logic and given word. The secret is out, and it confirms every skeptic's worst fear about how the franchise was run during its darkest modern days. For Magic, this was clearly a cathartic act of legacy protection. For 5 years, the official record suggested he quit because he wasn't cut out for the hard work. His revelation flips that script entirely. He is now the principled leader who walked away from power rather than compromise his role and operate as a puppet. He reframes his exit not as a failure, but as the ultimate act of integrity, choosing to leave the family table rather than sit quietly while others made the decisions he was promised he could make. This recalibrates his entire executive tenure. He is no longer the executive who flamed out. He is the truth-teller who escaped a broken system. It's a powerful, final revision of his own history. For Jeannie Buss and the current Lakers regime, the challenge is profound and ongoing. The championship in 2020 provided a powerful shield, but Magic's words have pierced it. Every future misstep, every lost trade, every questionable hire will now be viewed through the lens of this revealed truth. Are the other voices still whispering? Is Rob Pelinka making this call, or is he just the public face for a consensus from the shadow cabinet? The trust between the front office and the fan base, already fragile, has been deeply damaged. Jeannie Buss's legacy, once defined by stewarding a return to glory, is now inseparably linked to the accusation that she betrayed Magic Johnson. That is a wound 1,000 championships might not fully heal. The secret is out, and in the end, there are no winners, only a franchise whose glittering past is now forever shadowed by a brutal, honest confession from its brightest star.